from government departments to run public competitions that invite consortia of businesses and academics and local authorities, for instance, users of electric vehicles, to come together to trial new products and services that can help to improve the ease of access to charging, help us to get the right amount of energy in the right places to provide the needs of users, to understand users' needs, because we have so many different use cases. So if I can use the vehicle to X space as an example, we use BEIS and OZEV funding to support projects. We funded over 20 projects in the vehicle to grid space specifically between 2018 and 2022. And they've now led, the findings from those have led to a wider Vehicle to X programme, which we've got 17 projects working on now, looking at new products and new software services to encourage consumers to learn more about V2X and to take it on board. And then we hope to launch a new demonstration of those technologies, new competition for that starting in about March of this year. There's the real opportunity for UK businesses to come into this space to provide services that will support those vehicle users. So now is the time to come forward and to take every opportunity to use government funding where it's available to try out your new ideas and to help commercialise them, ready for the market demand. There are two forms of vehicle to everything that we're looking at in the UK: grid services, of which vehicle to grid is the one, and behind the meter services, which are things like vehicle to home, vehicle to building, vehicle to load. So that enables you to store your energy and not give it back to the grid, but use it for your own purposes, whether that be to help to power your home, for instance, at peak times, at tea time, or indeed to power a workplace building, or even potentially a public building going forwards. So we're looking at Vehicle to X options in all of those spaces. We need more efforts and more work to bring the cost of these solutions down, to make them more accessible for the mass population. Velocity was one of the 8 vehicle to grid demonstration projects that was funded by BEIS and OZEV back in 2018. It delivered a programme of EV bi-directional chargers in local authority workplaces and in some private workplaces as well, that enabled commercial vehicle users, so mostly van users, to recharge their vehicles at work, but also to store energy in those vehicle batteries and feed it back to the grid in response to demand from the grid for extra energy. So eVelocity was a really great project led by Cenex, with partners from Leeds and Nottingham local authorities and Warwick and Nottingham universities that trialled this in the real world with real users. I definitely believe this is an area where the UK can excel, and we were very early to develop charging infrastructure that would meet the needs of those earliest vehicles, and the market in the UK is now much wider than it was 10-12 years ago, and we have both large companies and small innovators still moving into this space to develop and move those products much more widely outside the UK as well. It will take a transition phase. There needs to be time to phase out the petrol and diesel vehicles that are still in use and indeed in some cases still needed for certain uses and applications. But there are plenty of opportunities to start converting things, but not just because we convert from, for instance, a diesel vehicle to an electric vehicle, but also because we change the mode of transport that's particularly used. So for instance, the push to increase active travel and the use of micromobility, for instance, for last mile deliveries, will all help. It's changing the mode. It's not just swapping a diesel vehicle for an electric vehicle. It's reducing and changing the mix of those vehicles as well. So this transition is a very complex one. There's no doubt there are lots of opportunities and lots of options to make these changes happen, but it is going to take time.